I'm a guy that's 27. I hate Star Wars Resurrections. Boba died in Jedi. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back with another video, and today we have yet another minifigure wall update. If you're unfamiliar with this series, I am attempting to collect every single LEGO Star Wars minifigure. This does include the rare ones like the Cloud City Boba Fett and the Chrome Gold C-3PO, both of which I'm very fortunate to already own. I feel like the price of those guys are going up by the minute as we speak. This is not going to include, however, those one-off figures made of rare earth materials like the solid gold C-3PO. I think that'd be a ridiculous standard to set for these videos, but it's been quite a while since I've been able to do one of these, and I'm super excited to get back in the groove of things. It seems like, you know, as the series goes on and on, the wall gets harder and harder to complete because just the figures, Star Wars figure prices are just skyrocketing. Like ones that I bought early on in this series for, you know, $3 to $10 are ballooning up to $50 to $100 for no, I don't want to say no discernible reason. There's an unfortunate reason why it is happening, but we'll save that conversation for another time. So to get things started off this week, we're going to go ahead with some Clone Wars / Legends figures. First up here, we have Anakin Skywalker. This is Anakin with quote-unquote dark brown legs. It's from the 2014 Coruscant gunship. So this is actually one of the last like big bug-eyed Clone Wars faces that they did. And it kind of does irritate me having to look at this guy, so we're actually just gonna go ahead and turn him around. I just hate looking at that face, man. That is a horrendous looking minifigure face. But the printing on this thing outside of the face is actually pretty nice. The torso and the legs look pretty good. He actually has some pretty decent back torso detail as well. Like pretty much every Clone Wars figure at this time, he does not sport a double-sided face, which is good. One ugly face is enough. Two ugly faces, that just might kill a guy. Moving on, next we have a Legends figure. That's what it's tagged as on Brickset, and this is Darth Maul with printed red arms. It came in a 2012 poly bag back in the good old days when we were actually getting Star Wars poly bags. It feels so weird to say that. I never imagined that we would go, you know, years in a drought without getting Star Wars minifig poly bags. I can't really complain too much about it because at least the May the 4th figure last year, or the May the 4th GWP last year, did include a unique figure, so that is a step in the right direction. But it really is just weird to think, you know, we used to just get polybags on polybags of Star Wars figures at various places. It kind of made going out and looking for Lego a lot more fun than it is now, you know, like, you know, when they dropped that C-3PO at Toys R Us, or the DJ figure at Toys R Us, or, you know, certain figures they dropped at Walmart. It was kind of fun going out and finding those unique figures, and we don't really get that anymore, so that's kind of unfortunate. But back to the topic at hand, this is actually, I think, a very nice figure. This is one of two shirtless Darth Mauls that they've done. The Clone Wars one, I don't think is nearly as nice as this one. I think I'm just, in general, pretty preferential to the realistic styling, as I think most of us are. But then again, this is a LEGO Star Wars community, so I gotta tread lightly when talking about these beloved Clone Wars figures and just anything Clone Wars regard in general. But yeah, this is, you know, one of the earlier figures that actually has arm printing with Star Wars, so it is kind of special in that regard. And, you know, it is from quote-unquote Legends as well, so that also makes this a kind of unique random thing that LEGO did. And I think just design-wise in general, this is a really cool looking figure. If you were able to get your hands on one of these, I think this, like, as a kid, might have been one of my favorite minifigures just because of how uniquely just designed it is, you know. And I think also one of the nice things is the face print that comes with this Darth Maul. I think is one of the better Maul face prints. I know for a while we were getting Maul with the kind of cheesy grin, which I don't think was ideal, so I think having the more angry looking Darth Maul, I think this is actually a really good face print. So overall, really good figure. I paid a lot more for this than I would have liked, but looking at it now and just really getting to appreciate it, I don't think it was not worth it. Next up, we have two figures from the Galactic Civil War era. First up, we're going to start off with Sabine Wren from Rebels. This specifically is the Sabine with dark blue hair and orange highlights. This came in two sets in 2015, the Ezra speeder bike set as well as the Imperial assault carrier. And I think it's a pretty decent figure. I mean, just print wise, the detail is there, especially coming from Rebels. You know, it's not one of those Rebels figures that I think looks like way too simply detailed compared to a lot of I guess realistic styled figures. So I'm not just, totally hating this figure in any regard. I think just in general though, the hair piece that they gave Sabine, for those first few Rebel seasons, the shape of it just never could get used to. Like, I look at this and maybe it's the skin tone as well, but it just does not really look like Sabine to me. I think the way the hairpiece is designed, it just sits too high up on her head. I don't know. I remember actually seeing this figure for the first time and not really knowing much about Rebels, having not even seen Sabine, and then I finally go and watch Rebels and I'm like, oh, that figure was supposed to be Sabine. That's kind of weird to think about. So I wouldn't say they really knocked this figure out of the park in terms of the likeness from Rebels, but I think in a vacuum, it is certainly not a bad looking figure. So she does sport some nice details on her chest. She has a little Rebel logo there is what it looks like, and that's kind of cool. Just some nice small details, and I think the colors on this figure, the color palette specifically, is actually pretty cool. She always has an eccentric hair color, and I think that the dark reds with the light and dark grays on her torso look nice, and the pants especially I think are pretty good, and it's kind of like a nice universal piece. You could put that on a plethora of different Star Wars figures and it could work for just making some generic looking guys. But yeah, I just remember at the time not really being a fan of this design for Sabine, and I think even at this point I don't think LEGO has really made a really good looking Sabine. I think first off, we for sure got to get her a darker skin tone. If LEGO does decide to make a Rebel set, moving forward, I think they would correct that. They've done it with the clones and many other figures that deserve it. So if they decide to go back that route, which, I mean, with the Ahsoka show, I think Sabine's supposed to be in it. So even if it's not like a Rebels Ahsoka, I think, we might see an Ahsoka show. I'm sorry, if it's not a Rebel Sabine, I think if we see an Ahsoka show Sabine, I think the color of her skin should be corrected. And as for the back of the face, she does actually have one, which is always nice to see. Yeah, that is Sabine with her two faces. Next up, we have a Rebel B-Wing pilot. This is from the 2013 B-Wing Starfighter and Planet Endor set. I think this torso and leg print, I want to say, is one that they ended up using again. I want to say they used it on the 10 Num figure, if I'm not mistaken. I think that 10 Num dropped actually the next year, but this was, I think, the start of us getting really nicely detailed pilot figures. I think that this was, part of that first wave of those just nicely detailed Rebel pilots, especially with the leg printing and the straps coming down, and kind of linking up with the top vest that they wear. Just, if we ignore the helmet, which honestly I think leaves much to be desired, it's a pretty generic looking helmet with just a random bright green visor. I think if we ignore that, if we just look at the details on the torso and legs, I think this is a fantastic figure. And I think once they dropped the 10 Num the next year, that really just showed, with an accurate helmet and these really nice details here, just how cool those LEGO Rebel pilot figures can be. And I think these over time have become some of my favorite figures for that specific reason. Next up, we got two figures from the same set. First up on the left side, we're going to start with the Imperial officer minifigure. This is from the 2014 Imperial Star Destroyer set. On the right side, we have an Imperial crew with the dark bluish gray cap. This is also from that 2014 Imperial Star Destroyer playset. Both of these figures, I think, also were kind of the start of us getting nicely detailed Imperial officer figures. I think before we got that specifically molded cap, and I believe this is actually the first set this would have come in, the Imperial officer figures weren't super desirable for me, at least the non-named ones. But I think this cap, this right here was a game changer, man. This thing just looks so good, even to this day. It's the same cap mold and print that they're using, and it just captures the look of the Imperial officer so well. Like, it's kind of crazy how that, like, when I see an Imperial officer minifig, that original cap that they were using, it just, you know, it's kind of like, I don't really care for that. But this one just is such a big difference, and it looks so much more accurate than that one, and it really makes me adore these minifigures. Another thing I think worth noting is just the torso print on the officer specifically. He is sporting a nice ranked badge with a 3 red at the top and 3 blue on the bottom. I think they both actually have some back torso printing, which is pretty cool. Yeah, just looks really nice. Altogether, I think, you know, this was really a transitional period for LEGO, especially when it came to minifigs. That 2013, 2014 era, it seemed like, you know, everything that before was kind of like an afterthought. You know, it's like Imperial Officer, like, people don't really care about those figures. They really started to just put detail everywhere. You know, the fact that this guy has leg printing, I'd say, is quite a big deal, because they totally could have gotten away with just not doing that. But, you know, this was a time where LEGO was really just upping their standards and upping their quality, and I think these 2 minifigs here are a definite tell of it. So I really do enjoy these figures. It's kind of weird that I'm just now getting these 2 specifically. I think if I really wanted, I probably could have pieced them together from my collection, but I know I like having these Imperial Officer figures. For me, it was just like, may as well just get them, because that's just more Imperial Officer hats that'll be in my collection, and more Imperial Officer torsos that'll be in my collection. So cool to have these guys now. And finally, we have a minifigure that was quite expensive, but one of those ones that I knew I really did want to get sometime soon, just because it was kind of an older figure. This is one of the older, more expensive figures that I had still yet to have purchased, and it is the 2009 Captain Antilles. This came in the Tantive 4 playset at that time, and this thing is super interesting. I think just detail wise, it is really nice. This is one of the older figures that does sport a double face. So here he has a super confident smiley face, and if you turn him around, he has this, oh god, I'm being choked by Darth Vader squiggly mouth face. And I think that is actually really cool that they did that. I could have totally just seen them, you know, giving him a normal face and being done with it, but the fact that they did give him, you know, the face that I think most of us remember him having when he's getting choked out, that actually does go quite a long way. So really cool detail to add in there. I guess also, while we're back here, he does sport a little bit of back printing at the top of his torso, just that dark tan printing right there. Also, another thing that I totally could have got away with not doing, but they cared enough to add that extra detail. And, you know, if you care about those things, I think it goes a long way. It actually makes a big difference for me when there's those little details that LEGO could omit and no one would really complain about it. But the fact that they do it just shows how much they care about giving us, you know, good looking minifigures, even back in 2009. He is sporting his tan jacket with his Rebel rank right there, aka the Purina logo. And, you know, it looks pretty nice. My boy is also sporting his, looks like a V-neck under there. Got his V-neck gray shirt, black belt, and no printing on the legs, which, you know, I guess 2009 was pretty much the standard. So not really too much to complain about there. I think that has probably since changed on the more updated figure. But this guy, this is... you know, like I said, one of the older, more expensive figures, because it did only come in that big Tantive 4 set in 2009. And, you know, I didn't ever have that play set. I think that set basically came out like literally right after my Dark Ages, so I just missed out on it. And even up until this point, it was one, fortunately, you know, it was kind of expensive when I started the minifig wall. It maybe has doubled in price. Which sounds crazy, you know, just to say it, but honestly, it could have been a lot worse. So it was not the worst thing in the world to go ahead and get this figure, and I do still think it's a really cool figure. Like, at this point especially, you're not really going to see me show too many minifigs that don't have pupils. So for us to be this far into the minifig wall series and still have some of these more classic looking Star Wars figures to add to it, I don't know, it's kind of cool. So Now that I've shown you all the figures that I have assembled for this update, let's go ahead and put these bad boys on the wall.
Now I'm about to put some rims on my brand new turbo tank, cause this galaxy is crazy. Trade Federation sing them shooters, so you better have your boomers up the main computer. Now your boy is on the run.
Not clear,
I'm a wanted man. Conjure Club is looking for me. Finesse some boys out 50 bands. I was at the club on Bespin. This boy tried to sell me death sticks. If I die from taking death sticks, bury me with my neck.
Cause it get cold just like hot. Cold just like hot. It get cold just like hot. Cold just like hot.
You need to stay off Tatooine if you can't take the heat. You need to stay off Tatooine if you can't take the heat.
Cause it get cold just like hot.
Oh man, it feels so good to be looking back at the illustrious minifig wall. To cap things off, went ahead and placed that Captain Antilles, no pun intended, right here. He's chilling there, and that, like I said before, I mean, that's a pretty high up spot to be on the wall. Definitely one of the higher places that I've placed a minifig in recent history. Over here, we got the Darth Maul with the printed arms, and this guy is in some pretty good company. We got the Queen Amidala next to him, next to TC-14 as well. Got some cool clones surrounding him as well, so a good amount of rare-ish figures hanging all around that Darth Maul figure right there. Over here, we got that B-Wing pilot, and yeah, like I said, this is for sure where the pilot started getting really good. You can see this is, I guess, the X-Wing pilot that probably would have been like the newest one at the time, and I think it just looks so good compared to the older one. Like if you just even look up here, I think the addition of that leg printing makes a huge difference. Looks so much better. Looks so much better with the leg printing for sure. Over here, we have the Imperial guys. So we got the officer right here. He's next to AT-AT pilot. That set actually, you know, came out in the same wave as the Star Destroyer. There was an AT-AT, I think, 75054, and the Star Destroyer came out alongside it. We got the Imperial crew guy right there. And I think the two latest figures we had on the wall, which is kind of surprising. So we got Sabine right here, but we got the Clone Wars big bug-eye face Anakin chilling right here, which really surprised me because like there's no big bug-eye Clone Wars figures anywhere near this guy, which tells me that this might have been the last big bug-eyed Clone Wars figure that LEGO made, which is awesome. This signifies a pretty big change in their design philosophy, and it is nice that they eventually came to their senses and realized, like, yeah, there's no reason to stylize the faces. It just does not look good. The torso prints they can get away with, and I mean, they even kept doing that. We got some clones right there. And even to this day, you know, the current clone trooper we have is a hybrid of Clone Wars and realistic. But the face is, for sure, I think most people agree, the normal realistic style faces are the way to go. But that's pretty much it for the minifig wall this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed checking this out. For the upcoming update, I don't know if I'll have new figures for it, but one thing I for sure need to do is place a bunch of figures. I got this bin right here. Lots of figures that have been taken off of the wall. They need to go back on the wall. So the wall, as it is, you know, looks decently full, but it should look even more full. So I got some figures that I've taken off of various projects, whether it be, you know, Camino, Star Killer, the LEGO Star Wars collaboration we did, or just, no, maybe I thought a figure looked cool and I just took it off. I wanted to look at it, but it needs to go back on the wall. So I think maybe I'll do a whole update, basically just dedicated to trying to fill out as many of the gaps in the wall that are figs that I have that are out of boxes, but in my collection. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting that like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.